YouTube, what's going on? It's James with Make an Opening, and if you are tired of the Boba Fett green meta that's been taking the game by storm and putting it in a chokehold, we're getting a little bit of a reprieve from that. Today we're going to be doing a quick and dirty coverage rundown over the Florida 5K that just took place over this last weekend, and let's just go ahead and just jump right into it. I'm not going to make this video longer than it needs to be. We're just going to do some basic overall coverage on the tournament itself. Not going to go super in-depth on any sort of deck guides or anything like that. There are a couple that really interest me that I'll be doing more in-depth deck tech guides on, maybe even having some of the people that piloted those decks at the 5K on the channel with me, so stay tuned for that. And if there's any decks in the top 16 or just in the tournament in general that you found very interesting, you want me to take a look at, let me know as well. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I literally just hit 100 subs like on Friday, so 2-3 days ago, and I'm already almost at 200. So the support has been insane, but there's still like 96% of you guys that aren't subscribed, so keep subscribing if you want to keep seeing more of this content. I'm going to start turning it out a little bit faster for you guys now. It was every 3 days. I'm going to start doing every 2 days now, and maybe eventually we'll get to once every day. Who knows? Had to get all dressed up and fancy for this one. It's actually just my work clothes, but it's a 5K. It's very important. This is very important information. So let's go ahead and jump right into our Florida 5K coverage. Alrighty, so a couple things that we can touch on is this is the biggest United States held tournament for the game so far. There is a total of 143 players at this event. Now, it's not the biggest Star Wars Unlimited tournament that's taken place as of date. The UK Twickenham tournament that I covered my very first deck tech on, the Grand Inquisitor deck that got 9th place over there, that actually had over 200 players. It was like 220-ish players, I want to say. So this had a little bit less players, but you know, it's still a 5K and it's still over 100 players. Like 143 players is a lot. How the tournament was formatted, there was 9 rounds of Swiss, and then from the 9 rounds of Swiss, you take the top 16 records, and then that top 16 went from quarterfinals or top 16 to quarterfinals to semifinals to finals. So the guy that ended up winning the whole thing is actually I can go back, this guy right here. Shout out to Gui Cohen, I believe his name is pronounced. He was running Vader Blue, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. So no Boba win in this one, no Boba Green. Boba Green was very much there in the top cut, and he was represented in the finals. So he almost won, even more events. But Gui stood in Boba's way, and for that, we thank you. So for a little quick breakdown, this image was made for me by PPG. I'm not making my own images this time. It's going to be just a quick and dirty little analysis. Let me move my face cam though so we can get a quick look-see at this right here. So the 143 players, 37 were Boba Fett, 24 were Sabine, 15 Vader, 15 Iden Versio, and 12 Leia. So the top 5 most represented leaders, I'd say it's pretty, this is, from what I understand it to be, at least from my personal opinion and from pretty, general consensus in the community, this was expected, right? Boba Fett Green is going to be the most highly represented deck at the tournament. There was some Boba Yellow sprinkled in there as well. Sabine, obviously, the quick and dirty green bean deck, and there was a couple blonde Sabines in there as well. Vader was also highly represented at the Twickenham tournament in UK. Vader Ramp, more specifically, but Vader Control with Vigilance was actually pretty well represented in this tournament as well. Then we have Iden, which is just the staple control deck. You either take an Iden red, Iden green is a little bit more popular, and then there's also Krennic green as well. And then Leia. Leia is just another aggro deck that's kind of like Sabine. I think it's more fun, but people say it plays a little bit slower, which, I mean, it does. The leader ability doesn't deal 1 damage to each base every round and comes out a turn later as well. So that's the top 5. Now, looking through the rest, if you are a Hera player, a Gen Urso player, or an IG-88 player, and you were looking through the total breakdown as I was playing, and you didn't see your leader represented, it's not a typo. Those 3 leaders were just not represented at all. 143 players is a pretty big pool, but not even one of those guys. So it's not looking the greatest for those 3 leaders. But from the most to least played, out of the top 5, we had 8 Emperor Palpatine decks, 7 Director Krennics, 5 Lukes, 4 Grand Inquisitors, and Grand Moff Tarkins, 4 Han Solo, 4 Chirrut Imwe, 3 Chewbacca, 1 Grand Admiral Thrawn, and 1 Cassian. A little disappointing, at least from my end, because I play Grand Inquisitor and Grand Admiral Thrawn as of, most recently. I just made a nice Thrawn blue control deck that I have fun with. It's pretty annoying, but only 1 Thrawn out of 143 players. Maybe I mix it up. Maybe I pivot to this Vader Blue deck that just won the whole thing. Who knows? But yeah, those are all the leaders that were represented. 15 out of 18 leaders in the game were represented, and it's a little bit top heavy, of course. Now, I will say this, when we go look at the top 16 breakdown, this is a very healthy top cut, in my opinion. There's a good mix of mid-range decks. There's a good mix of aggro decks. There's a good mix of control decks. This is very healthy. Not like the UK tournament where the entire top 8 was all Boba Green, or maybe there was one Boba Yellow in there, but it was all Boba Fett. This just shows that the meta is still not solved. The game's been out for 2 months now. Obviously, people have been playing it since even before the game came out, and those players are probably some of the players that are doing well in these tournaments, but the meta is still not solved. And I'm not going to worry about the next tournament being, top 8 full of Vader Blue decks, because I just don't think that's how this game is going to be playing out, just because Vader Blue also has pretty glaring weaknesses as well. Vader Blue has the same weaknesses as Iden Red, and that deck has been going around a little bit as well. And there's a pretty good YouTube video out there describing how to beat Iden Red, and you could probably take those same principles and beat this Vader Blue deck, because they play pretty similarly, very controlly, very unit slim on the units, and then they just play for late game bombs. I'll link that video in the description. Actually, it's a video from a content creator known as Throck. So the guy does good work over there. So the top 16 are as follows. We have 4 Boba Fett's, 4 Sabines, 3 Vaders, a Palpatine, a Krennic, a Luke, a Leia, and a Han Solo. So there's a few decks in here that I found pretty interesting. Han Solo was a Han Solo aggression deck, which is cool. As typical Leia Red, we have Luke in here, which I find really nice that Luke made a top 16. Luke actually made top 4. I think the Luke deck got 3rd place in the entire event, which is really cool. We got Director Krennic Green Control. We got Palpatine Blue. And then of the Boba, Sabine, and Vader list, with Boba, it's 3 green and 1 yellow Boba. Sabine, it's 3 green and 1 yellow Sabine. Vader is 2 blue Vader and 1 green Vader. And then the rest are, the rest. So let's take a look at how the sort of bracket played out. So the eventual winner, Gui Cohen, was actually 6th seed going into the top 16. First seed was actually a undefeated Sabine Green list, going 9-0 through Swiss, I believe. But then fell in round 2 to Michael Carlock, who eventually lost to 2nd place. I believe Michael Carlock got 4th. Philip Ritchie was the Luke pilot who got 3rd. So, pretty good run from there. But yeah, Guy started 6th seed and went 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. And then in the finals, 2-0'd Andrew Cox as well, the Boba Green player. So just a quick highlight, of the deck, the tournament, how it played out. I think I was covering it. Yeah, Guy is 6th seed. I know you couldn't see that. My fat head was in the way. But yeah, Guy went 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. And what this just shows to me is that, again, the meta's not solved. I'm not going to worry about, top 8 or top 16 all being Vaders at the next event. I personally am going to the 1K held in Dallas next month on May 11th. If any of you guys are going, let me know. Let's hang out. Let's play games. Let's test it out. Let's duel, let's duel it up. This is going to be the deck to beat, though. And that deck to beat is obviously the blue Vader deck that was piloted by Guy. This deck was just thrown together. Don't worry about the get out of my swamp. It is Dagobah Swamp, and he did win, so maybe you should get out of his swamp. I don't know. But there is some pretty cool and unique card choices in the deck list that I kind of just want to go over and touch over super quick. There's also 2 other deck lists that I found it interesting that I want to touch on a little bit before the end of the video as well. So we have 1 copy of Force Lightning. There is quite a few deck lists in this tournament, especially in the top cut, where they had more 1-ofs and 2-ofs than I would imagine top cut decks having. It's just my personal philosophy where you want to have as many 3-ofs and then as little 2-ofs and 1-ofs in your deck list as possible to make it as consistent as possible. So the fact that there is this many 1-ofs and 2-ofs kind of catches me by surprise. Maybe that just means even more so that the meta's still not solved and there's no go-to supreme S-tier deck and everything's getting beat by everything. So there's a lot of just tech pieces finding their way in the main boards. And then, you know, in sideboards, there's additional tech pieces. One of them being Force Lightning. There's a 1-of Force Lightning here. Again, Force Lightning's good into Super Laser Technician. It's good into 97th Legion. We was just talking about that the other day at my LGS. You know, 1 resource to take out a 7-resource unit because you remove its ability, so it's a 0/0, it insta-dies. And then obviously if you have a Force unit, you pay more resources to deal 2 damage to the chosen unit for each resource paid that way. There's only 1, 2, 3 Force units in this deck. One of them is your leader, and we're running 2 Palpatines, so I don't know. Personally, I think I would remove Force Lightning and bring in another Vanquish or I Am Your Father. I don't know. 1 Restock. This is in the main deck. I personally run Restock in my Throne Control deck in the sideboard, mainly because it's a good card to have in a Control Mirror match, because what you want to do is you want to play through your Vigilances in the Control Mirror match, and then Restock to put the Vigilances back in your deck to continue to have the possibility and the capability of milling your opponent. We also have 1 Imperial Interceptor. Again, it's a 3/2 body in space. That's cool, but we're already running 3 System Patrol Crafts and 3 Inferno 4s, 3 Avengers. I don't know. I personally replace Imperial Interceptor with either another Palpatine or just another straight up removal piece. Maybe another, you know, I Am Your Father or a Vanquish. Honestly, getting rid of Force Lightning and Imperial Interceptor for 3-ofs in these 2 playsets is probably something that I would look at into doing personally, but you know, maybe they came up clutch in certain situations. You know, I don't know. I have watched a little bit of the VOD on Twitch. Now, I'll link that in the description as well, but it's currently locked behind. You have to subscribe to him. I personally subscribed to him just so I could watch a little bit of the VOD. It's $5. So like, I'm trying to get some knowledge, you know, I'm trying to watch. The cards never really came up from the parts that I was watching. I was skimming, watching little bits and pieces of a lot of decks. It's a lot of stuff to take in, but they're also working on chopping it up and putting them into video formats on YouTube. That's coming soon. So as soon as I get that information, I'll let you guys know about that as well. But yeah, I mean, this is the deck that won. Child Sin is super cool. Obviously, there's very little cards that are not blue in the deck. We have 5, 8, 11, 15, 16, 18 cards that are not blue. So, you know, out of your 50 cards, only 18 of them not being blue. That's 36% of your deck. So 64% of your deck is blue pips or cards that have blue on them. So Chilson came out as a 5/5 and a 6/6 most of the time, especially in the little bits of pieces that I saw, which is very, very crucial. A 4 resource Sentinel for a 5/5 or a 6/6 body. Absolutely huge. It needs to be dealt with. It's a brick wall, especially versus aggro matches. They have to swing 2, sometimes 3 units into it, traded to get rid of it so they can go on to their next aggro cards and start swinging at your base. I'm Your Father is super cool as well. Personally, when I run in my control deck, I just put it onto a card that I think they're going to want to protect and not have died, that I don't think is a super big target for removal regardless, because as control decks you want to draw through your cards so you can hit your removal spells, your other removal spells, and maybe healing spells as well. You know, you're going to want to use I Am Your Father if you don't have like a Palpatine or an Avenger or a Super Laser Blast in your hand, because you're churning through your deck to get those big removal pieces and bombs for late game. Then the sideboard's pretty cool as well. We have 3 repairs and 2 devotions. Those are mainly for the aggro matchup, additional healing. We have 2 Vader's lightsabers. This is good removal, additional removal for maybe controlling matchups, or maybe not even control, maybe just like mid-range value decks like Han Solo, Boba Fett, stuff like that. Search Your Feelings and a Forced Surrender come in for the control matchups, I'm sure. And then Bombing Run is another pretty good sideboard into aggro decks. If you just can't deal with the amount of units that they're throwing at you. So this deck list is super cool, definitely worthy of first place. Glad it's not Boba Fett. Let's take a look at some of the other decks that caught my eye just real quick. First off, we have Luke Green. This deck, super cool. I'm really glad to see Luke Green get top 16 representation. Not only that, but top 8. Not only that, but top 4 representation. Super cool. Again, like I was mentioning, there is quite a bit of one-ofs in the deck. There's one of Redemption, one of Takedown, one of Admiral Akbar. Obviously, they serve some sort of purpose, but when there's cards that are one of in your deck, you're not 100% likely to see those decks and have them come in times that you need them, just because they're a lot less likely for you to hit them if they're one-ofs in your 50-card deck. You know, 3-ofs, you're looking at 6% of the time. 1-ofs, you're looking at 2% of the time. And the number doesn't seem too big of a difference, 2 to 6%, 4%, but that 4%, you want as much consistency as you can get. So, but I don't know. The deck's really cool. I like Luke Skywalker. Obviously, he's a powerhouse. U-Wing reinforcement to get in Luke Skywalker, or maybe just a couple other units like Admiral Akbar is super cool. If you wanted to, you could, you know, fill the board with some cheaper units and they're on the side of the field that you want to blow something up at, and then put in Admiral Akbar as well to just do a bunch of damage. Super, super cool. Love that. We have Redemption and Home 1 in the deck. Big bombs. This is more so like a mid-rangey control heroism deck, which aren't at the best position currently in the metagame, but getting 3rd place, pretty good. You know, beating out all the other control decks like Iden, Director Krennic, the other Vader decks. So pretty good showing from Luke. And also the Palpatine Blue deck as well. Just the last one I wanted to touch on, the last one that really caught my eye. I don't know why it's so big and blurry, but again, there's quite a few one-ofs in here that I wouldn't really expect to be one-ofs in a control style deck. One Snowtrooper Lieutenant, there's one Super Laser Blast, there's one Avenger. Interesting choices. The deck did get top 16, so props to you, and you do have extra Super Laser Blast in the sideboard. But, you know, just a super cool deck. I like Palpatine. I think it's a really cool idea on control. I personally made that Palpatine mono green control list that I uploaded, you know, I think a week or 2 ago now. But yeah, this deck is super cool as well. You know, you get the best of both worlds playing control, Palpatine, and just green in general. You get to play Overwhelming Barrage. You get to play Darth Vader, mini Darth Vader, and over Reinforcement Walker. You get to play Resupply and Super Laser Technician to ramp into your end game. So this is a rampy control deck. I really like this. I prefer Emperor Palpatine Blue over, like, you know, the Vader Red or just Vader Ramp in general. Vader Green Ramp is what I meant to say. I think Palpatine works better for ramp, and I don't think it outplaced the Vader Green deck, but it's cool to see. And more Childson. This Childson is a lot less effective in this deck just by looking at it from a glance. But yeah, the last deck I really wanted to touch on. Yeah, guys, an insane 5K. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below. In the description, I'm going to have this page, because not only does it have the graphics I was showing you with the top 16, the total breakdown, cool picture of Gui. It has how the bracket went for the top 16, but it also shows, you know, the link to the Twitch VOD, and then YouTube is coming soon, so this is pretty cool. Also, it was 9 rounds of Swiss. Oh no, it was 8 rounds of Swiss. Was I lying? I don't remember. But then the top 16 lists are right here as well. So if you want to click on them and take a look at the exact deck list, you know, like say Palpatine, who got 13th place, just click on it, you click on it, and then boom, you get to look at it. So I'll leave all that down in the description below. Hope you guys have a great time. Hopefully this guy shows you that the meta is in a nice healthy place. Anything can win right now, I think, except for IG88 and Jyn Erso and Hera, but hey, they weren't represented in this 5K. So maybe that means if you bring it to the next big tournament, they're not going to know how to play against it, and you're going to take home the whole thing. Who knows? Also, only one Thrawn. Thumbs down. I will change that. Maybe if I don't pivot, I don't know. Take care, guys. Peace.